you do the business, you talked about family and all this stuff. So, but there's another thing that we've talked about briefly, I think, outside of this, and I've worked with several people close to it, but the Set Free Foundation. So this was on the charity aspect. So if it's not enough to do the books and the family life and the business, you're also adding a charity to your repertoire of things that you're doing. So he talked to me about what the impetus is behind this. What led you to do that? And I think you got a book on it.
I do, and we'll
this one I haven't read. So full disclosure, I'd love to read this one. Yeah.
So long story short, 10, 12 years ago, I just developed a real passion for the anti-human trafficking cause.
Yeah.
And when I discovered the cause, I just really dove into it to discover as much as I could about it, read stories of survivors, and really delve into it. And the more I read, the more I learned, the more I just really felt that I needed to do something to aid in the anti-human trafficking.
It's a huge problem in this area too.
Everywhere.
Yeah, my wife talks about that too, because she works at a church and stuff, and they look at what they can do to support it.
Yeah.
Pensacola area, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But so a few years ago, my business got to the point to where we were able to actually start a foundation, a nonprofit, and support it through the business. And at first, we initially started it with the intention and vision of creating a house, a shelter, to bring in human trafficking survivors and shelter them. However, what we discovered after getting into it was that the funding needs for that came out to be about $20,000 a month for staffing and everything, which we just were not able to do. So what we did is we kind of took a step back, and we said, okay, we have an organization here. We have some good volunteers. We do have a lot going for us. What can we do with what we have? So in everything that we had been doing up to that point, mental health for sexually traumatized women had always been a real key point for us. So we said, okay, this is what we can do. We can create a foundation, and we can help women who have been sexually traumatized through sexual assault or trafficking or whatever. And if they cannot afford therapy for their to see a therapist, then what we can do is we can help fund that therapy. So that's what we've transitioned to now, and it's going very well. We have several cases that we're funding, several clients of therapists that we're funding. So we don't provide the services. We partner with other trauma therapists that if they have a client that wants to see them, but they don't have insurance, they don't have the funds to pay for the therapy, then what we'll do is we'll provide that funding.
That's awesome, man. So I have some thoughts on that for sure. I'm not putting you on the spot by any stretch, but one of the big passions that I have for Navarre is bringing people together, right? Is trying to figure out, like, okay, this person's got skills for that, this person's got skills for this, and be able to get them to work together. And so just as you kind of move forward in that, I've got some ideas that I'll have to share with you later, but some different folks, because we talked about like the incredible people that make Navarre what it is. They're just doing this little simple show. Takes several folks that kind of invested in and things like that. It's not just me, right? Like it's people helping me do it. And I think as you go through this journey, there's all kinds of folks in Navarre that I hope can kind of come out there and like help propel it forward. Right?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, we've had dozens of volunteers help us with fundraising, which is the biggest challenge. We had our second annual gala in January, and that went really well.
Awesome.
We've already got our third one scheduled for January at St. Sylvester's Church here, which again is at St. Sylvester's. Let me just say, they are a huge, talk about heroes in Navarre.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Father Kelly.
Are, huge huge. We love them over there. They're wonderful with supporting their community,
Yeah.
and community projects and events. Yeah.
Well, and we're one of those folks that want to help. So you just let us know. But I'm excited to read this. I'm going to get a copy of this one for sure because this book, it kind of goes through. If I understand it correctly, you have to tell me. It goes through kind of what led you to this point and explains the issues. Is that right?
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm excited to read this one.
human trafficking is just really kind of a difficult subject to talk about. There's so many aspects to it. And so what I did, I wrote a book. Instead of trying to sit down and have a conversation with someone,
Yeah.
It's easier to just kind of hand them a book and say, hey, this is a
Yeah.
something that's I'm really passionate about, and I'd like to give this to you. And in the book, I do talk about kind of what led me to being a part of the human trafficking cause, and I give 2 fictional stories of how very it's common for human trafficking to take place, and then talk about what victims of human trafficking go through, and then if you want to get involved in the cause, how to do that.
Yeah.
So again, if anyone's interested in that book, it's at my office. I'd be happy. You can drop by and pick up a copy, or I'd be happy to mail you one. Just request one from me, and I'll give you. I'll send it to you.
What I love about the way that you're framing that, because you talked a few minutes ago about you got this family, wife's doing well, your kids, talk. That's great. Like, it's awesome for Skip, but what about these other folks that don't have that? Well, I can't think of anybody who's struggling for that more than someone who's gone through this, right?
Absolutely.
And so it'd be easy for someone, I think, in your situation to say, well, hey, I've done well. Like, I got my business. I'm going to just chill back, relax and enjoy my success. No, like, you're actively using that to jump into the other part of society, right? The folks that aren't benefiting from having a stable family.
Right. Well, I'm a firm believer in giving back.
Yeah.
I absolutely. I think that everyone has an opportunity to give back, even if it's just a little bit. And the more you've been blessed, the more opportunity you have to give back.
Yeah.
So, any way that I
awesome,
have to
man.
give back, I think that I need to take advantage of.